welcome to Mental Health, the Crisis in Our Time. My name is Ann Bergen. I'm the host of this series of programs whose mission is to call attention to the national epidemic of mental health, substance misuse issues. I have been an educator for many years in a number of roles, and I've watched too many of my former students have their lives derailed by mental health or substance misuse issues. But I think the thing that's most important for people to understand is that mental health and substance use issues really impact people at every age level, at every socioeconomic level. I think it's really interesting when we think of senior citizens, the number of senior citizens that are impacted by alcoholism, prescription drug misuse, depression. People need to know that the rates of suicide among senior citizens are high and they're rising all the time. So to use the word epidemic is not an understatement. It is not an exaggeration. Thoughts and prayers are not enough. And I love the quote from Death of a Salesman where they say, attention must be paid. And at a local level, there is great power when people share their lived experience. People who have been there, who have struggled, and they've come out the other end and they say, you know what, I am going to offer hope, I'm going to be a source of inspiration, I'm courageously willing to share their stories. And my guest today, Rion James, right, Rion?
Right.
Has stepped forward and has said, you know what, I think there would be power in sharing my story. And in talking with Rion, and before we started this, he was saying, you know, a few years ago I wouldn't have done this. Yeah. But that it speaks to that growth happens, doesn't it? And they're kind of facing fears and doing that, you know. So just to begin, I first of all, thank you for coming and being, you know, courageous enough to share your story. So maybe we can just start where you are now. Just tell us a little bit, sort of a biographical sketch of who Rion is, and then, you know, maybe tell us a little bit about your journey, the struggles that you encountered, and then kind of how you got yourself through it. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, I'm Rion. I'm a trans man. So I was born female, but I identify as male. I have many physical and mental stuff going on. Like I have a mood disorder. I have OCD, anxiety, depression. I'm autistic. I might be ADHD. I'm not quite diagnosed with that yet.
So, well, just to sum it up a little bit, you've had a few challenges along
quite a few.
But look at how courageous you are.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. Anyway, so yeah, so wow. So coming through,
Yeah.
so along the way, what, you know, given the, you know, even like with like the whole trans issue and everything that's going out there, it's such an interesting perspective to the conversation because there's so much misinformation out there,
yeah.
and the more people know and understand, it's important. So sharing your story is really important. So let's go back to kind of the beginning of your journey, starting back, you know, as a little kid, kind of going through the different stages.
Right.
Can you kind of share the journey along the way? Now, starting off, like, again, from an educator perspective, I like to see it through the lens of a school experience. Right. Can you kind of start off like your earlier school experience and what life was like for you, and what things started to surface along the way? Can you share some of that stuff?
I don't really remember like preschool or before that.
Yeah.
But I remember in kindergarten, that's when everything started to like show up.
Yeah.
And so I was always, before I was like diagnosed and stuff, I remember I was always like being disruptive. I was like jumping on the tables. I was running down the halls. I was like in the principal's office at least once a day.
Wow.
And then my mom, she tried to like figure out, not like, how do I explain this? Like, before finding like a counselor or something, she would like put me in different things. Like I remember doing like a ballet class. I remember hating it.
Yeah.
But I remember doing like a ballet class.
But you hated it.
Yeah. And then, but it wasn't really working, so she like called like a psychologist and a psychiatrist. And so I got diagnosed and then I was put on medication, and I was put in therapy, and that actually helped like a lot. And so like later on, like I started doing like really good in school. I wasn't really disruptive, and then I was put on an IEP in school, and so I had like the extra help. Like I saw like the school psychologist once a week or so.
So did the emotional part of your life interfere with the learning part of your life? In other words, did it make it harder to concentrate or to...
Yeah,
yeah.
before I was put on medication.
Before,
yeah.
so the medication did help, right?
It did, yeah. But I know, like, for other people, like, it doesn't always help. But, like, for me, it, like, tremendously helped.
Yeah. Are you willing to kind of to share the trans journey for you? Because I think in this day and age, there's so much misinformation out there, again, as I mentioned at the beginning. And to talk a little bit about that, to help people understand, you know, that the only reason I say my niece is going through that process,
Right.
and I just think it's really fascinating, and it's important for people to, you know, understand. Can you speak a little bit about that?
So when I was younger, I really was into like wearing dresses and doing like all the girly stuff. But then puberty happened, and I started, you know, getting the more physical, like, you know.
Yeah.
And that was when I realized that something wasn't quite right. But
Yeah.
I didn't really know what transgender was back in like middle school. And I learned about it in high school, and then I was like, oh, maybe that's me. And so I kind of started experimenting a little bit, wearing like the guys' clothes and such.
And it felt better, right?
It did, yeah. I felt more like myself.
Yeah.
And then, but I still kind of like didn't tell a lot of people. It wasn't until like I was like 19 or 20 that I actually like came out as Rion.
Yeah.
And started like doing the social transition.
Yeah.
But like even at then, like say like when I was in like middle school, like when I started, I thought it was just, when I wasn't like feeling it, I thought it was just body dysmorphia, which is when you just like don't like how your body looks, like in general.
But that's important for people to understand the difference,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
And then so I actually started starving myself because I thought it was, you know, I didn't like how I looked. And then when I learned what transgender was, I learned that it was the body gender dysphoria, which is when you like, you know, you realize that how you feel inside doesn't match outside, and when you try to like fit, try to like make yourself how you feel on the inside, and yeah. Yeah,
but so it's interesting as a perspective, because it's not an easy journey to that.
No.
Like you said, starving yourself. And I think some of the misinformation is, oh, today I think I'll just change my gender. It's not like that.
No.
Today you're going to go to school with one thing and then come home and not. I mean, for people to understand.
For Trump.
But that misinformation that I just think that's why you're so courageous to come and share your story, because people need to understand that. But no one just says, oh, I think today I will. No, it isn't. And I just think about my niece was born Harry, but knew from the time that they were, 2 years old. No, it was just, and then insisted that their name become Hazel, and that's who Hazel is now. But it just people don't understand it isn't. So this is very, very helpful. But can you talk about like some of given the issues that you dealt with? Number one is you accessed therapy, correct?
Right, yeah.
Because to me, one of the messages that I think is important is that particularly young people there's a stigma about reaching out for help. Were there any qualms about that for you in terms of?
Well, I was in therapy since I was 5.
Oh, okay. So this was okay.
Yeah, but when I was like, I started getting like suicidal thoughts in like middle school, and I never really told anyone. And when I was like 14, 15, I started self-harming, but then like I felt myself ready to actually like, end it.
Yeah. So you were that close.
Yeah, and that's when I like finally started to like tell someone, and I was actually I was an inpatient for about a week, and
but
when I was like 16, I think.
But I think I just happened to be talking to a young person the other day, a young woman at high school age, and she was talking about it's keeping it inside oneself and not share. She was going through a lot of the same stuff, like wanting to harm herself and starving and all that, but it's that fear of letting other people know. But eventually, you said, I don't want to end things. I've got to do.
No.
I can't.
I had to like tell someone, or else I probably wouldn't be here right now.
No, that's right. And that you were courageous enough to say, okay, I can't do this alone.
Yeah,
right?
no.
And that's another source of your inspiration, to say that to let particularly young people know is there's no shame in letting people know that you're suffering, right? Because there are people out there to help, you know.
Yeah.
And then when you share your story, but then going on with your story, so you were in middle school, and then you'd opted to go to Tri-County?
I did.
Tell us about that experience, just apart from, you know, how they helped support you there, and what that journey was like going to Tri-County.
Well, I also saw the school psychologist when I was at Tri-County.
Okay.
And there was also like guidance counselors as well who could help you. And I mean, the first year, like when I was, it's different now, but when I was in school, it would like 1 week would be like your academic classes, and then another week would be
the shops,
like the shop,
the trade.
the trade. And in freshman year, 9th grade, that's when you would, like, for 9 weeks, they would have, like, a different shop each week. And so my anxiety was actually really bad that first year, first half of the year. And so I was always, and when my anxiety acted up, that's when, like, I would get, like, stomach aches and such. And so I was always, like, missing school.
So that led to absenteeism.
Yeah. And then there was a couple, like, shops I had to, like, redo because I would miss, like, half the week, and that would automatically almost fail me, and so I would have to like redo it,
which contributes greatly to anxiety, frustration, all those things. Okay, sure.
But then when I was like when I chose my shop the second half of the year, that's when it started like to get better, and I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but no. So, but all in all, because I'm going to be doing an interview with some people from Tri-County, and one of the things that I've heard, this is more recent, is that they have an incredibly supportive guidance department there, and that they are really doing a lot to support people, you know, to young people, because we know that it's really tough out there. But I was just curious now, going back to like you're dealing with all these kind of issues that are going on inside of you. How was it socially for you in high school? Was it tougher then because you were missing school a little bit and you were going through some other issues?
I never really had friends growing up. I had like a few, but not really. So I've always kind of been like the loner, antisocial kid.
And sometimes that goes along with people who are on the spectrum, that social interactions are a little bit harder.
But but the first half of the freshman year, that's like what was really hard. I would talk to a few people, but I wouldn't really like make friends with them. But it wasn't until I was like the second half of the year is when I really started to talk to people, like get comfortable. Then I also did starting sophomore year, I did student council. Then I also did, I was in GSA Club, the Gender Sexuality Alliance Club.
Oh, they had a club like that?
They did,
yeah. Wow, good.
And so, that's when I I didn't, I would still talk to people in student council, but I was more friends with the people in the GSA Club, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it certainly does, because people can relate to your experience, and you can share openly, and you're not going to be judged. Or,
no.
Right. So then, all right, now we're going to continue on your journey. So then you went to Dean.
I did.
Yeah,
yes.
Tell us about a little bit about that, because I think it's important to share that. Yeah.
So I was a commuter since I lived right across the street, so I didn't really get the dorm life and the social.
The whole full college experience,
But they did different activities. There was a winter wonderland type thing. They had different activities you could go to.
Yeah.
And there was dances and such. But even then, I still wasn't I had a few friends, but I wasn't the most social or anything.
But you had some friends there.
I mean, I couldn't graduate because then that's when I got sick and like I couldn't graduate.
When you say you got sick, was that part of was that physical or was that the mental health issues that
It
you were?
was a little bit of both.
Oh, okay.
I had I got diagnosed I have GI issues, like stomach issues. That's when
Okay,
they started
got it.
to really rear their ugly head.
Sure.
But
Which
also,
makes college a tad difficult.
yeah. But also that's when like my anxiety was really bad too. I was like always having panic attacks and anxiety attacks
And you think of just the pressure, without all that stuff, the pressure of college life anyway, you know,
Yeah.
right? And then you throw that into it. So
Yeah.
you ended up leaving there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I left, and then I was also working at like a grocery store, and that I also left there
Yeah.
too. And then I kind of like worked on my health a little bit, both physical and mental.
Yeah, tell us about you, because that's what because a lot of people would have given up at that point and
Yeah.
said, but you didn't.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Tell us about you when you say worked on it. I mean, was that more therapy? And obviously you took care of the physical stuff.
Yeah.
But
So like I saw a therapist since I was 5. But when
Yeah.
I was like went into the psych hospital when I was 16, the inpatient. I found a new therapist because I've been seeing my previous one for like 10, 11
Sure,
years.
yeah.
And so he said that I should probably try to find a new one. And plus he also like stopped taking my insurance anyway.
yeah, insurance, I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
And so I found a new one. I went to Arbor Counseling in Franklin.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But then COVID happened, and the therapist I was seeing started doing like the telephone ones. Well, I mean everyone did at that point,
Right.
but then even like when the world was starting to open up again, she just wanted to do like the telehealth, and when I see a therapist, I need to have like an in-person.
Absolutely, I'm with you.
And
yeah.
so I switched a therapist, but then I didn't really connect with them, so I switched to another one.
Stopping you right there,
yeah.
but it's important for people to know that sometimes it takes a while to find the right one.
Right,
I had to
yeah.
do that along the way too. That
No, yeah.
for my life too, is to say, wait a minute, this isn't working for me. It's
Yeah.
okay to okay, good.
Yeah, because
keep
I
going.
need to like actually like connect with
You
someone
have to.
be
That's
able to
good.
like,
It's the
talk about like the
relationship.
vulnerable things.
Of course,
Yeah.
you have to trust, and it
Yeah.
has to be that you're willing to open up. So yeah.
Right. But then also around that time, I found a gastrointestinal doctor to help, and then I was like put on like medication for that as well. And I still see them. Every once in a while I'll get like an endoscopy and a colonoscopy as well, just to like check everything out.
Absolutely, that's very
And-
smart. Especially,
yeah.
yep. That's good. Yeah. So then, doing all this and again being now having enough that you can sit here and do this kind of a thing.
Right.
But so tell us where you are now, because I know you're doing some stuff to kind of try to bring people together. That you've kind of got a mission out there, and can you tell us a little bit about the stuff that you're doing now?
Yeah, so I'm in the Franklin LGBTQ Alliance.
They meet here on Tuesday nights. Are you part of that group?
It's the first Thursday of the month.
Oh, I'm all right. I'm way off. I don't know what just ignore me.
That's fair.
All right, go ahead.
And I actually just discovered them about a year ago. I didn't even know that Franklin had one.
Yeah.
And then so I would like just like go to like the meet. Like every meeting has like a different like theme, I guess you could call it. Like this past month we did like milk and cookies, and we did like getting to know you games. Like we played like Mad Libs, and then there's another game we played. I don't remember what it's called. I think it was like dumb question to ask your friends or something like that.
I'd be good at that one. Yeah.
But yeah, so I started going to them about a year ago. And we also do like book clubs, and we have like a game night as well.
I love this. I love
yeah.
this. Wow.
And then a few weeks or so ago, they made me the events coordinator.
Of course they did.
Yeah. And so yeah, because I'm always like helping out during I helped out with Pride this past summer, and then there's like the different events that I'll help out with. So they made me the events coordinator, and so I actually had my first assignment the other day. I had to contact the Franklin Town pages and put like the December's like events in it and for like the calendar, And so, yeah.
This is great, though.
Yeah.
This is great. And it's a great group of people, right?
It is,
And it's
yeah.
just a way to connect, and we just need things like that, and you're part of it. So
Yeah.
doesn't it give you, it gives you like a sense of purpose, too,
It
doesn't
does,
right?
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So it's really good, and you're meeting some neat people.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that I know Max is involved in it, and it's just bringing everybody together. Now I have another question that you may not be able to answer, or you may not have any insight at all into this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. All right? Because the more I've been hearing, and I was talking to Chris Flynn about this, just about social media. What's your sense of the negative aspect of social media? How bad is? I'm hearing stuff from like vulnerable kids that are on there, and that they're being talked into doing, stuff that they shouldn't be doing. Fentanyl being sold. Do you have any? Just, I'm only looking, not, maybe it isn't even your experience, just from being a young person.
Right.
What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I was actually like really gullible when it comes, like when I was younger, well, still kind of, but younger especially. But like my mom was always like on top of it. She always like, she doesn't like have our passwords and such, but she will like, and she doesn't like check our phone every night, but she will kind of like keep on top of it and make sure that we're like being safe on the, when I say we, I say me and my brother.
Yeah.
Making sure we're like being safe and not like giving into that, stuff. I think that message we have to get out to parents is, I don't think, I was again talking to Chris about it, I don't think people realize some of the dangers that that are out there, and parents do need to be, because there are a lot of vulnerable. When I was like 14, 15, if that maybe, there was I don't know if it's still a thing, but there was a site called, I think it was Omegle, something, OMEGLE. I don't know if it's a thing anymore, but you could like just do like regular chat. We could also do like a video chat with like people around the world. And there was this, it wasn't even a kid, it was a guy from Germany that I would talk to, like video chat with, and he would like have me do things.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And I would try to hide it from my mom, but she's always on top of it. She's a mom, so
But this is such an important conversation, because people need to realize this is happening out there. It's not just you. That's why your story is for parents to see it, for young people to not get caught up in that stuff, because then you get put in like blackmail situations, and then. But now, did your mom find out, or did you tell her? Did she kind of know?
I don't remember.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a good mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know. All right. So, all right, I have one other question I want to ask you. When you think about like a message that you want to get out to young people, that, the reason for being here and wanting to share your story, what would you tell people based on your experience that would be important for them to hear from you?
That you're not alone.
There you go.
No matter what.
Yeah.
There's always someone that's experiencing the same thing.
Yeah. That's crucial, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So I think I've covered everything. I think that this is real, but you really opened up a lot of topics, and I don't know how to thank you. This was good. This was good. So I appreciate that. And I'm going to thank everyone for joining us today. And I also want to thank Franklin Cable Access TV for giving us the opportunity to share these important messages for the community. It's such an important citizen media center that we have in Franklin, in our community. And Chris Flynn, thank you for producing and being patient with us. And again, thank you all for watching, and thank my guest, Rion. Thank you.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors, good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.